What's up YouTube? Bill Paying Hobbyists here. I'm Michael. Behind the camera is Ellie. The other day, Ellie came up to me with a picture. She says, Michael, can you make me this bed? This bed. I've never made a bed before, but I thought about it and two words came to mind. Challenge accepted. Let's get to it. We spent some time trying to figure out how we wanted to make the legs, and that's what we're going to start on first. I'm going to start on this first leg, get it cut down, and make sure it's what we want. Get to use the new sled on the tuned up table saw. So here we go. Earplugs, safety glasses. Ready?
Ready.
It's loud.
Okay.
It's going to be our height. Top width, the rails will sit in there. Now I need to cut that angle, and I think I'm going to do that on the bandsaw. All right, so I have the four legs cut with the correct angle on them. We're going to plane the rails for the foot of the bed, the head of the bed, and the side rails. These are 2x6s, and we're gonna plane them down to about 7/8 of an inch wide, which so now I have an absolute mess, but I got all my boards played down to 1 inch thick, so it'll make it prettier, and I cleaned it up, got rid of a lot of cracks and knots in the wood. I have one knot that I'm a little worried about. I'm gonna fill it with glue and some of these shavings right here, and it'll go on the inside, so it won't be so bad. I just wanna strengthen it up. Next step, clean this up, glue that piece, let it sit overnight. Next we'll be notching out the legs. Go for it. Don't hit the camera. Really? You're gonna kick it? All right. Little change in plans, since the design that we want to make for the legs and the way we want to make the connections, 80 inches is not long enough. I need to make my boards actually 3 3/4 inches longer. So I need to cut up some pieces, and we're gonna do kind of some longer lap joints. So I have to do some cutting, some resawing, and planing some more. That's what we're gonna do now.
I feel like you should have a merch line that says a little change in plans.
A little change in plans. I should explain this a little bit more. What I need to do and what I plan to do to make this longer is I'm going to cut these down to the lengths I need to make my laps, and then I'm going to plane them down to 1/2 inch thick. So I'll have 2 layers of a 1/2 inch thick, and I'm basically going to have a 28 inch board, a 27 3/4 inch board, and a 28 inch board in the front, and then on the back I'll have a 55 3/4 inch board, 14 and 14, and when I lap them together I'll have long laps and make it stronger, and I'll get my 83 and 3/4 inches that I need. So the first thing I'm going to do is take my 2x, and I'm going to cut them to the length I need. So out of this one I can get my 31 and 31 and a 14, so I'm going to cut those first. So we got all our pieces cut to the dimension, the length we need. And now I'm going to resaw everything on my table saw at 3/4 of an inch. These are 2x, they're actually 1 1/2. So I'm going to cut them down. And what I'm going to do, since I don't feel comfortable putting this saw blade up to 2 3/4 of an inch to cover the 5 1/2 inches if I do it twice, I'm only going to cut 2 inches on both sides. And then I'm going to resaw the rest on my bandsaw. My bandsaw pretty good, but since I already have a groove on both sides, the bandsaw has something to follow, and it doesn't really matter that the bandsaw blade is thinner than the table saw blade. It's not plugged in, by the way, because we're going to plane it. We're going to go from the 3/4 inch down to 1/2 inch anyway, so that the thickness of the blades is not really going to matter with a kerf mark on it. Yes?
You can do 2 inches on all 4 sides, and that makes it much less on the bandsaw.
This way?
Yeah.
It does, and that will be pretty easy to cut. So we're gonna try, I'm gonna do it on the 14-inch pieces first to see how it does. You know, when we were doing the cedar, we had a little bit of a problem with the cedar ripping down this because the cedar tend to clamp down on itself. Hopefully this won't happen here. Simple, easy, and fast. We got all of our boards planed down to a 1/2 inch, and I'll explain as we go why I did that. Next, I need to cut them to the correct length I need. When I did this, I made them longer on purpose. After we cut them down to the lengths we need for the side rails, headboard, all of that stuff, I'm gonna need to rip these down on the table saw because they're not all the same width. Today's a new day and changing plans. That would be a good idea for some merch. We can put on there t-shirt, changing plans, or embrace the change. In the military, you gotta adapt and overcome, right? I love the design of the legs. The plan is to have the side rails and foot rail kind of crisscross like this and lock in. I almost hit Shop Dog, that would have been terrible. So that they'll go in like this. However, with this only being 2 inches thick, these prongs are less than a 1/2 inch. I think they're gonna break with the stress of just holding the weight of the bed itself. So today we get to rip down 2x4s. I'm gonna rip them down into 1x1s and make an actual real 4x4 and then cut this in. That'll give me about 1.5 inches on each prong, and that'll be a lot stronger. First thing I want to do is set up my table saw to take off this outside edge. The 2x4s, generally all wood that you get, 2x, they have a little rounded edge on them, and I want to take that off because I'm trying to make something out of 16 different pieces that are going to get glued together, and I want it nice and tight. So I got to take all that off. I'll run each one through. I'll set it up so that it just shaves it right off the edge. Again, my table saw is not plugged in. So now I'm going to glue these together, and what I'm going to do is glue one leg at a time, clamp it all down nice and tight after I glue it together, and then I'm going to wrap the tape around it in 4 different spots, or 3 different spots, wherever I can get to use that to hold it, because I only have 4 clamps and I have to do all 4 legs. So that should be enough. The tape and the pine and the glue should be plenty. I'll take them inside and let them cure inside in a climatized area because I don't want it out here in the humidity. Time to start gluing. We went from those little legs to these monstrous 4x4s, ripped down all of those into 1-inch squares and then glued them all together. So now I get to cut the angles for the legs, and then we're gonna figure out the notches. And I wanted to take a quick moment to thank our Amazon Angel for the earmuffs. I guess they felt like we weren't protecting our ears enough, so we got those. Let's get to it. Changing plans number 2, we're gonna use the planer. Probably be the fastest. You should run it through real quick and be done with it. We got all the angles cut on our legs, so tonight we got to make the notches so that each end of the rails will fit into here. They'll slide down like this and this. So now I need to make basically a cross notch in there. All of these are just over an inch. Some are like right at about 1 1/16 inches. Some a little bit more, which is good, because once I finish gluing them all together, I can run them through the planer and make them all 1 inch. So I'm gonna make my notches 1 inch. So first I'm gonna lay them out, and what I plan to do is just use the fence and cut it as deep as I can with my table saw, and then I'll move over to the band saw to cut out the rest of the notch. Today we got the legs notched out, so what I'm gonna do is set these up so that I can make my notches. I'm gonna lay them out and do the notches so that these two pieces can fit together inside the leg. I got everything laid out, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna glue each piece on, the back piece onto here, and then I'm going to nail it in to hold it in place while I'm doing it, so I can do each piece faster, and then I'll clamp them all together. I got a bucket of water so I can wipe my fingers off after spreading the glue around. Got all my rails cut, or my supports cut for my rails. Got those cut. Got them all laid out. I need to put pocket holes in them so I can screw those to the side rails. All right, so today I have time to clean up all this glue, and what I'm gonna do is just like skim. I'm just gonna shave off the edges. Just gonna shave off the edges with the table saw. It'll make it easier and it'll make it all even. All right, we are finished. We finally got it done. We got the color we wanted, we got the shape we wanted, we got the design we wanted. It took a little bit of change here and there, trying to figure out how we were gonna do it, because originally we were gonna put the box springs in it and everything else, and we didn't.
And you've never made a bed before.
And I've never made a bed before, so I think I did pretty good. I stood on it, it didn't fall apart, it didn't break, it didn't creak. That was even better. We used the old supports from the bed and just repurposed them so that they would fit in here and make it easier for me to build this. So all in all, I think we're super happy about it. We're not gonna leave it here. We gotta put it in the bedroom, of course. Let's go over the numbers. Ellie found this bed frame online and it's $1,200 for this, $1,200. So I said, yes, I can make it. Never made one, but I said I could make it, and I did. I did need to buy some nails. I bought some 2-inch nails and 3/4-inch nails for the side rails and putting the top rail on. That was $13. I also had bought the staples to put the felt on the supports. That was $3.50. And we needed more poly, so I bought a quart can of poly, and that was $18. Total, $34.50. Take that away from $1,200, that's $1,165.50 we saved just by spending some time in the garage together and making our own bed. That's pretty cool. You can't beat that.
No, it's awesome.
So, and the bed online, you know, it only had its certain choices of colors, and we got to make the color that she wanted, that I wanted, and it turned out great. So we hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you learned something. If you did, that is awesome. If you have something to teach us, please leave it in the comments. We'll love to hear it, and maybe we'll try it in the next video. Stay tuned. Coming up, we have more pieces of this free lumber that I got at a job site with live edges on it, and we're going to use it as a headboard. It's going to be a wall mount headboard, so we'll be making that soon. Again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.